Dear viewers, sorry for the delay. I request you to pray for my mom for speedy recovery. Chapter 1906 Ulu District. Zhang Yi saw that the person coming was Cui Zhe and hurriedly said, "How dare I? It's all because of the commander's kindness. I am so ashamed." Cui Zhe stared at Zhang Yi with a smile on his face, but his eyes were deep and unfathomable. "You must cook well for the commander-in-chief in the future. This is your greatest honor." Yes, definitely. But you are a foreigner after all, and you don't know enough about the commander and the KG country. Next, you can go around and learn more. Then you won't do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing in the future. Zhang Yi's heart moved. Cui Zhe asked himself to go out more often? What does this mean? Really? If I have the chance, I will definitely visit Prudentia more often. I think it's a very beautiful city. Cui Zhe said to him, "The place you should go to most is the commander's hometown. It is the holy place of our KG country. Find time to take a look. Feel the cultural atmosphere of our KG country and understand the commander's spirit." Zhang Yi had no choice but to say, "Well, I will go myself." Cui Zhe smiled and patted his shoulder, then walked away. Zhang Yi was full of doubts. He was definitely going to the Ulu district, but he had to find a chance to go there quietly. But why did Cui Zhe let him go to that place? If I guessed correctly, Cui Zhe still suspected him, so he deliberately let him travel around Pashun City and Ulu district to see if he would reveal any flaws. Because if he was really a spy, he would be most interested in the intelligence of Commander Shan, and then some situations in Cage. "Boss, this guy seems difficult to deal with." Fatty Sue's voice echoed in Zhang Yi's mind. "Is it difficult to deal with?" Zhang Yi drooped his eyelids. "I'm afraid he will be too smart for his own good." Zhang Yi returned to his current residence with a lot of rewards, and his black girlfriend greeted him happily. "Oh, honey, you're finally back." Her eyes were charming. She had been completely subdued by Zhang Yi in the illusion yesterday, and the look in her eyes when she looked at him was full of admiration. As she spoke, she brought out a bowl of enshima from the kitchen and handed it to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi didn't waste any words and directly asked Yang Xinxin to shoot her with an arrow, letting her have a sweet dream. "Let's start investigating," Zhang Yi said to the people who slowly emerged from the shadows. "Ken Shan is a pervert. If I hadn't been smart this time, I'd have been exposed. If we stay with this kind of person, something bad will happen sooner or later. We must find information about the Spear of Longinus as soon as possible." So, I decided to go to Ulu. Zhang Yi expressed his thoughts. Deng Shintong crossed his arms and asked, "But that fellow named Cui Zhe is obviously setting a trap for you. Do you really want to go?" Yang Xinxin analyzed calmly. "It's an open conspiracy. If you don't go, you have something to hide. If you go, you know that the other party will monitor you, and you are in an extremely sensitive environment, so it is very easy to reveal flaws." But unfortunately, he miscalculated one thing. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes, and everyone in the room also smiled. That's right, Cui Zhe misjudged one thing. That is, he could not imagine at all how terrifying this suspicious guy who was suspected to be a spy in his eyes was, and he came not alone, but with a team of the world's top aliens. Everyone in this team is an elite in their respective fields. Fatty Sue's inner thoughts. Our team is so awesome. The next day, Zhang Yi slept until almost noon before getting up. Later, he really went out naked and called Cui Zhe to borrow a car from him. When Cui Zhe heard the news, a sneer appeared on his face. "Okay, I'll have someone drive the car over to you right away. Don't be in a hurry. Take your time to enjoy the beautiful scenery of KG country." He hung up the phone and asked someone to send a car to Zhang Yi. At this time, a voice sounded in his ears. "What kind of person am I that requires you to call me back from the front line?" The sound was extremely dull and muffled, and no one knew where it came from. Cui Zhe said, "If it's not my illusion, then he is an extremely dangerous guy. Even I didn't notice any flaws in him." A dull voice said, "That's really too dangerous. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him." "I'm counting on you, Colonel Park Changbum." The sight zoomed out, passing through the office building where Cui Zhe was located, and then went high into the sky in the north. On top of a tall building 20 kilometers away from here, there was a tall and slender man squatting. His long hair covered his face, but the wind blew through his hair, revealing a pair of extremely sharp eyes. He was here and clearly saw Zhang Yiqin go out and then get on the snowmobile. Zhang Yi specially brought along an agent named Yagu and asked him to be his guide. Yagu did not receive Cui Zhe's order to monitor him and really thought that he was here to serve as Zhang Yi's guide, so he politely introduced some famous attractions in Pishun City to Zhang Yi. It is precisely because he does not know why that he will not reveal any flaws. In the city of Pucheng, most of the so-called tourist attractions are actually indoors, including the museum, which contains some souvenirs from the end of the world, as well as a large number of weapons, shoes, toilet paper, disposable chopsticks, etc. used by Commander Shaun during the war. As you enter the museum, the melodious and tear-jerking song begins to sound. How can I thank you for your kindness, my commander? You are the sun that never sets in the sky, warming the hearts of the people of KG. We don't recognize anyone in this world except you. You are more important than our lives. Let us call out your name once again, Commander Ken Thane, our greatest father. Yaga sang along and burst into tears at the first sentence. Zhang Yi could only howl a few times along the way. The museum is not big, but every time he goes to a place, Yaga would cry for a while. It wasn't fake crying, it was real crying. Her eyes were red from crying. Seeing this, Zhang Yi quickly found an excuse to go to the next attraction. Otherwise, in this small museum, just watching Yagu crying would be enough for him. Next, they visited several venues comparable in scale to the former Children's Palace in Tianhai City, but they were equally lackluster. But after listening to Yaga's explanation, Zhang Yi heard the story of Commander Shaun again from another perspective. Regardless, one thing can be confirmed. The former Commander Ken Sane was an unknown postal worker who had briefly served in the army. But later, he suddenly possessed powerful supernatural powers. The so-called place where the dragon rises is his hometown, Ulu District. Zhang Yi found the stories boring, and the so-called tourist attractions he visited were also uninteresting. Even the slums in Tianhai City are much better than the environment here. He did not forget his greedy and lustful chef persona and quietly approached and asked, Yagu, do you have such a place here? What? Yaga was confused. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Oh, you know what I mean. It's that kind of place. A place for men to relax and have fun. Park Chung-fan, who was secretly eavesdropping on the conversation between the two, smiled scornfully when he heard this. Yaga suddenly raised his voice and said angrily, Chef Wu, what are you talking about? In KG country, that kind of thing is absolutely not allowed. He had a look of indignation on his face. If Zhang Yi had not seen those extravagant nightclubs with his own eyes, he might have actually believed it a little. Zhang Yi had a look of disappointment on his face. Really? I didn't expect that the capital of KG country wouldn't even have such a place. Oh. Seeing Zhang Yi's disappointed look, Yaga looked around and changed his expression faster than turning the pages of a book. You really want to go and see it? Zhang Yi exclaimed in his heart. Oh shit. I didn't expect that this guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes could be so pretentious. Didn't you say no? This is for some people. Yagu came over with a smile and tried to get close to him. After all, you are a favored one. How can you be the same as an ordinary person? People outside don't know about this kind of thing. But it's so sunny now and they haven't opened yet. Why don't you wait until the evening? Zhang Yi crossed his arms, looked at Yagu with a playful expression and asked, Didn't you just say that such things would never be allowed in KG country? Yaga chuckled and gave him a look that said, You know. That's what Commander Shaun said. But that's only for ordinary people. For people like us, it's just a decoration. Because once those guys at the bottom have such an opportunity, they won't work hard for sex, let alone have good children. If that happens, who will support the rich lives of people like us in the future? Zhang Yi gave a thumbs up. It's high. It's really high. Yagu winked and said, How about I take you to the best nightclub here next night? You are a popular figure around the commander now, and they will definitely give you a good night. Zhang Yi sighed. Let's wait for a while. As you know, I've been feeling a little bit sick these past few days. He rubbed his waist, and Yagu understood immediately. But I feel like there isn't anything particularly good to visit in Pushun City during the day. Compared to the Commander-in-Chief's residence, it's all too shabby. By the way, Mr. Chuize reminded me that I should go to the Commander's hometown to experience the Commander's journey. Otherwise, you can take me there to have a look. Yagu naturally had no objection, but he looked at Zhang Yi with a frosty expression on his face. Of course you can read the words if you want, but you have to be mentally prepared. Zhang Yi smiled faintly. What is there to prepare? Don't worry, my loyalty to the Commander-in-Chief is absolutely beyond doubt. I guess a place like that has long been developed into some important memorial site, with portraits of Commander Shaun probably hung everywhere, so people have to remember to sing hymns at all times. Yaga didn't say much and drove the snowmobile and took Zhang Yi to Ulu District, more than 100 kilometers away from Puching City. Whoosh! In the howling cold wind, a sharp gust of wind followed behind them, hanging in the distance. Although they were very far away, he heard every word of the conversation between Zhang Yi and Yagu without missing a beat. Zhang Yi seemed to be completely unaware of everything. He looked out the window curiously along the way and watched the roadside scenery change from high-rise buildings in the city center to the old urban area in the middle of the city, and then to the dilapidated outer city. But after leaving Pushun City completely, the outside world was completely desolate and desolate. Even in Africa, the snow piles up very deep in the wild. All the grasses and trees were dead. Some areas were developed into farmland, but most of them were abandoned. Winter wheat was indeed introduced to this place, but Africans have never liked to grow it, so the wheat grew very poorly. Even with modern soybean seedlings, judging from the current growth conditions, the yield from 1 acre of land is unlikely to feed one person. But soon, even these barren fields disappeared. There was only a vast expanse of white between heaven and earth. The snowmobile slid rapidly on the ice and snow, leaving behind 2 tracks of varying depths. After driving for more than an hour, Zhang Yi finally saw the shadow of a building in front of him. Yaga said, "Mr. Wu Yanzu, the Ulu district is gone." Zhang Yi thought that his attitude would be respectful. After all, this was the birthplace of Commander Shaun. But he seemed to lack interest, and there was not much respect in his words. Zhang Yi pulled his arm away from the car window and asked, "Do you need me to prepare anything in advance? For example, tidy up your appearance, or learn a song to praise Commander Shaun?" "Ah, you said it was all over. There's no need to go to so much trouble now." "Oh, why?" In the beginning, when the Commander-in-Chief came to power, many people deliberately tidied up this rundown place in order to please the Commander-in-Chief. It's just that Ulu District is originally a poor place, and after the end of the world, the infrastructure is too poor. No matter how much we want to make this place beautiful, we don't have the ability to do so. Moreover, he curled his lips, the residents of Tsang City, even the Commander-in-Chief himself, are reluctant to leave Tsang City, let alone go to other places. Zhang Yi thought of Blizzard City and nodded. That's true. After the end of the world, all resources will be concentrated in one area with complete infrastructure. In other places, I'm afraid there won't even be enough heating. How can a person who is used to a comfortable life leave his comfort zone? The snowmobile was running on the snow. Far behind, a figure was following the wind, like an illusory kite. After Zhang Yi and Yagu arrived in Wulu District, they found that it was a desolate and dilapidated town. There were very few tall buildings in the town. Most of them were single rooms or the most rudimentary 2- or 3-story cement buildings. There was deathly silence in the town. When the car arrived at the entrance of the town, there was no one in sight. Yaga said to Zhang Yi, "Mr. Wu, please wait a moment. I need to find a local to show you the way." As he spoke, he pulled out a large communication device from his waist, which was as big as a brick. Zhang Yi remembered that it seemed to be the communicator used in film and television dramas half a century ago. After muttering for a while, Before long, a skinny man in a black cotton coat appeared in front of Zhang Yi and the others. The man looked to be in his teens, with messy hair like a bird's nest. It was unknown how long it had been since he had washed his hair. You could filter out 2 ounces of greasy hair from cooking, and his face was covered in black mud, making it impossible to tell his original appearance. His thick cotton-padded jacket and wide cotton trousers were all black and shiny, as if they had just been rubbed with lard. But it's obviously not lard, but a natural cold-proof layer formed by not washing clothes for a long time, which helps to block the wind. Yaga told Zhang Yi that the man was the local town mayor, named Chuangchai. Yagu and Zhang Yi got out of the car. Yagu, wearing a thick cotton coat, stood in front of Chuangchai, like people from 2 different worlds. He showed his ID to Chuangchai, who was immediately in awe, straightened his back, and gave a not-so-standard military salute. Commander Ken Thane, loyalty. Yagu immediately responded with a military salute. Loyalty. Yaga told him that Zhang Yi was a popular figure around the commander and personally prepared food for the commander. Cha Wang looked at Zhang Yi, his eyes shining brightly. He walked over humbly, not daring to get too close to Zhang Yi, for fear that the dirt on his body would upset Zhang Yi. But he still asked eagerly, "Are you the commander's chef? Then you must know what the commander eats every day now." The corner of Zhang Yi's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't expect the other party to ask such a sensitive question. He thought Chuangchai was dissatisfied with Ken Shan's extravagant lifestyle, but the other party's next words made Zhang Yi stunned for a moment. Tears suddenly welled up in Chuangchai's eyes. He wiped his tears with his dirty sleeves and said to Zhang Yi, "I heard that the commander-in-chief only eats 1 grain of rice a day to save food for the country. You must persuade him well. Don't starve yourself to death. The future of our entire KG country is entrusted to him." Zhang Yi. A grain of rice? His cerebellum is really a little out of order. It's the 21st century, and there are still people who believe such things? However, when he thought about promoting basic education in Africa, he had some idea in his mind. Even though he is the commander-in-chief chef, Chuangchai can still ask such questions. "What? Your daily job is to grind that grain of rice, right?" The commander is in good health. You don't need to worry about me." Zhang Yi could only vaguely skip over this question. Yagu, on the other hand, had a calm expression on his face, as if he had become accustomed to this phenomenon. Everyone living in this place is the best actor. Chuangchai was very happy to hear that Zhang Yi was a distinguished guest visiting here. Even though he didn't have enough food to eat every day and was skinny and pale from hunger, he would still puff out his chest with pride when he thought of the luxurious life in Pishun City. He led the way, excitedly introducing to Zhang Yi all the places where there were traces of Ken Shan left behind. This avenue is called Loyalty Avenue. It is to express that we, the people of KG, will offer our loyalty to the commander-in-chief for all eternity. This tavern is called the Forever Kind and Heroic Drink Tavern. It teaches our descendants that only men who have a heroic drinking capacity, like the commander, are real men. And this public toilet. Although people are reluctant to go to the toilet now because feces are very precious, the commander-in-chief has squatted in it many times, so it is also a very precious memorial site. We named it Fragrance from the Eternal Sun. When he said this, Chao Wanchai looked at Zhang Yi nervously and asked, "Mr. Wu, you don't want to go to the toilet yet, do you? If you want to go to the toilet, please be patient for a while and go to my toilet first." Zhang Yi just felt puzzled. He smiled and shook his head. "No, I don't have that feeling now." A look of deep regret flashed across Chuangchai's face. Zhang Yi just felt that this place was weird and had an indescribable evil spirit. However, Chuangchai soon cheered up and continued to take Zhang Yi around to visit this poor town. This is the shoe store, a kindness that can never be repaid. Fortunately, the commander once bought a pair of shoes here. This is the We Don't Recognize Anyone But You hair salon, and it was here that the commander's hairstyle was set. His long hair symbolizes the long-lasting national destiny of the KG kingdom, and his middle-parted hairstyle, which is strictly parted in the middle, symbolizes fairness and justice. Zhang Yi listened incoherently. Basically, there were few people in the whole town. However, it was still around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the hottest time of the day, so there should be people around. But as he walked through several streets, he saw only these houses decorated with cheap colored paper and red cloth. As they walked, they passed by a park. It was at this time that Zhang Yi looked at the people in the small town of Wulu district. The sunlight shines down from the sky and falls on the open space in front of the park. The ground in front of the altar happened to be a slope, and there was not much snow on the ground, probably because it was receiving the sun's rays. And here, dozens of people were lying in all directions. When he saw them for the first time, Zhang Yi thought they were all corpses, because they just lay there stupidly on the ground, motionless, letting the thin sunlight from the sky shine on their bodies, getting the little warmth they could. There was no expression on anyone's face, and their cheeks were deeply sunken and a withered yellow color. Even though he saw Zhang Yi and the others coming, he acted as if he didn't see them. Zhang Yi asked Cha Wang curiously, "What are they doing here?" Cha Wangchai said disapprovingly, "They are basking in the sun." "But why do they think he's dead? Look at that guy over there. His face has turned black." Cha Wangchai said, "It's okay. They are just hungry and have no strength. The family doesn't want to waste firewood to make hot water, so they come out to bask in the sun for a while." As he said this, as if to prove it to Zhang Yi, he walked over and kicked the man with the black face that Zhang Yi mentioned. "Huh? Why isn't he moving? Oh, he's really dead." Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.